Well, hi there, I'm Noah Bradley. This is Handmade House TV, and on today's episode we continue our series in the books that I recommend that you get in order to achieve the greatest handmade house possible. So stay tuned. Well, all right, once again, thank you for tuning in here to Handmade House TV. On today's episode, we're going to talk about my favorite books with regard to building log cabins. If I were to recommend to you the books that you should get with regard to building a log cabin, what would I recommend? And I got three of them in mind for you, but before we do, I'd like to give you a little bit of disclaimer. You can't really learn how to build a log cabin from a book. The books are great for inspiration, reference, and to introduce you to a topic. But as far as being fully comprehensive, they're not there. That's for certain. There's only so much that can be covered in a book, and frequently they're lacking in the details that you really need in order to carry it through step by step. And that's why I created the Log Cabin Academy course, which is over 8 hours of step by step how I built a log cabin from beginning to end. So the books that I would recommend you getting, though, to add to your library, you can't beat the classic. This is an early book written by Charles McCraven called Building the Hewn House. It's a great book full of some interesting stories in here, no doubt about it, and some nice work going on. But there's clearly some details left out, such as how to chink. So this is a good starter book. I highly recommend you having it on your bookshelf. Years later, Charles McCraven came up with another book, which is on my list as well, called Building and Restoring the Hewn Log House. And in this is more details. It does cover the topics such as chinking. There's some nice photographs in here as well. And then finally, the final book that I would recommend is Hands-on Log Homes, written by Cindy Thiede. And it's interesting, on the cover here is a chink joint that I installed myself here. This is a log cabin that I built. And the interesting story behind that is that every member of the family put their handprint in the chink joint, and I had to apply this chinking several times, because it never failed by the time I got to the fourth or fifth child, that when they pulled their hand off, the whole chink joint fell on the floor. So it was a challenge to get it on there, get all those handprints in place, and then to not have it fall out, to have it dry and cure it. By the way, if you're interested in doing a chink joint like this, the key is that when the handprint goes into the chink joint, that it's not pulled out straight and pulling on the chink joint, but rather the hand peel off of the chinking slowly, and it'll work out just fine for you. But the reason why I recommend this, it's not because I have 3 or 4 of my projects featured in here. It's because this book is loaded with stories of individuals who built their own log home. Whether or not they did it hands-on themselves or they hired someone to build it, whether or not it's traditional log homes like I do or it's the round pole log homes. But it's full of stories of individuals from their dream of the home through the completion of their home, and what the process was like for each one of these, and how it laid out. And I think it's extremely helpful for you. And what's the story of other people? What was the process like? What did they learn from it? And there are some stories in here where people had struggles and problems, and it's a good warning for you in being aware of it and how to prevent those problems. And also there are some truly wonderful, inspiring, happy stories, and you can learn from them as well, and how to achieve your log home to be satisfied with the finished product, and not having gone through a nightmare in order to achieve that dream of yours. Anyway, the Log Cabin Academy, I'd go share through well over 8 hours of step-by-step instruction. The Log Cabin Academy is part of the Handmade House Guild. You can purchase just the Log Cabin Academy, but if you get the Guild package, you can learn how to lay stone, how to design your home, and even how to do timber framing, which is what I'm working on creating the next academy now. Before we go, I would like to thank 4 new members of the Handmade House Guild. They are Gordon Davis, Kevin Boland, Matthew Pettit, and Gene Strickland. Guys, thank you so much for signing up for the Handmade House Guild. Thank you for all your kind words and your support. And we look forward to seeing you next week here on Handmade House TV. You guys take care. Bye now. And by the way, I do apologize for the noisy birds. They are just nuts today. Bye now.